In this video, I'll show you how materials transfer from Revit to Rhino in Conveyor version 5. On the screen, there's an empty Revit file. There's no elements drawn yet in this Revit file. It's just the basic template that's available when you first start Revit 2024. And on the right-hand side of the screen, you can see an empty Rhino file. The first thing that we need to do is start Conveyor, and we can do that by typing in the command Conveyor version 5 and selecting our units on the Rhino side. We can check our layers to make sure that those conveyor layers have been created. And if I navigate back into my conveyor panel, the next step is going to happen really quickly. This is a blink and you miss it situation. So just focus for a couple seconds as we click this next button, because it's going to import all of our materials from our Revit model into our Rhino model. At the bottom of the screen, we have the Rhino materials menu. That's this bottom screen here, and it says there are currently no materials in this model. From here, the only thing that we need to do to bring those materials in is to select this Revit and Rhino Direct Method drop-down button in the conveyor panel. So I've just selected it, clicked once. All of the materials from our Revit model have imported into our Rhino model. You can see all of those here. Next, I'm going to draw an element on the Revit side. So we've got a floor element here, and I'll set it to be made of concrete, just a monolithic floor. If I turn on the rendered view here, we'll be able to see that materials have been applied. This is what it looks like on the Revit side. And I can bring this floor directly into the Rhino model by hitting Get from Revit, and it's imported. It has that Revit material automatically assigned to it. If I go to this Properties tab here, it's the concrete cast in place gray, which is the same material that this floor is assigned on the Revit side. Between these materials, if I open up the Revit materials menu so we can take a closer look, we can see that there is a texture bitmap, which is the same file in both the Revit and Rhino side. And really the only key difference between the way that the materials are applied, which we can see if we back out here, is that the UV map is different on the Rhino side than it is on the Revit side. The reason for this is just the way the two different programs handle material mapping. In Revit, you are able to enter a dimension for the exact spacing of these tiles or the repetition of that image that's associated with the material, while on the Rhino side it uses UV mapping to scale it relative to the object size. Likewise, you can send objects from Rhino into Revit that have these material names and material properties on the Rhino side, and they will inherit the same material on the Revit side. Similar to previous versions of Conveyor, it matches up these materials by name, and we have the exact names of the Revit materials in our Rhino file now because they've been imported there. So we can be assured that those materials are going to line up back on the Revit side. So to demonstrate this, I'll just draw a very simple box and apply a material from our Revit materials to that box. I'll give it a category and send that across. And on our Revit side, you can see that that imported with that same material on the box. These new and enhanced material management features between Revit and Rhino are available in Conveyor version 5.